Our main goal? To figure out exactly how variable frequency drive, or VFD circuits, actually control motor speed. It's going to be a fun ride.
Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover the fixed speed problem, the secret to speed, the 3 VFD stages, pulse width modulation explained, why use a VFD, and finally, wiring and terminals.
Section 1. The fixed speed problem. You know, every great engineering solution starts with a really frustrating real-world issue, right? Well, the inciting incident for our electrical journey today is exactly that, a major mechanical headache. Why do we waste massive amounts of energy throttling pumps and fans? I mean, I want you to imagine driving your car on the highway with the gas pedal completely slammed down to the floor, and to control your speed, you just aggressively ride the brake the entire time. Sounds completely crazy, right? But believe it or not, that is exactly what mechanical valves and dampers do to water flows and airflows in industrial settings every single day.
So, what's causing this? The root of the issue is what we call direct online starting. When you connect a standard 3-phase AC induction motor directly to the power grid, it basically runs at a fixed speed. So say 1800 RPM on a 60 Hz grid. It is locked in, there's no changing it. So to control a pump or a fan without altering the motor itself, you have to throttle the output with those mechanical valves we just talked about. And as you can guess, that just bleeds off massive amounts of energy.
Section 2. The secret to speed.
Okay, so how do we fix this from the electrical side? Let's uncover our aha moment and the mathematical key to solving this huge wasted energy problem. This formula brilliantly illustrates the underlying physics of our motor. Speed in RPM equals 120 times the frequency divided by the number of poles. Now, since the number of physical magnetic stator poles is permanently locked in when the motor is built, they can't change. That leaves us with frequency as our secret solitary variable. If we can manipulate the electrical frequency, we control the mechanical speed. It's that simple.
Enter the variable frequency drive. VFD is literally the ultimate solution here because it completely takes over the power supply. Instead of just accepting that fixed 50 or 60 Hz utility power, it steps in as a middleman. It converts that rigid grid power into a variable frequency and variable voltage. Suddenly, we have total control over that crucial frequency variable.
Section 3. The 3 VFD stages.
Now for the really fun part. Get ready, because we're going to trace the electricity step by step, right through the machine, to see exactly how VFD circuits control speed from the inside out. If you look at this internal block diagram, you can basically trace a complete map of our current's journey. Notice how the power flows from left to right. We start with the input power on the left, it moves through the rectifier circuit, then into the fixed DC voltage center, which is the DC bus, and finally out through the inverter circuit on the right to actually drive the motor.
Just breaking that diagram down for a second, we have 3 distinct stages that electricity absolutely must pass through. First up, the rectifier stage, which converts AC to DC. Second, the DC bus, also known as the intermediate circuit. And third, the inverter stage, which turns that DC back into variable AC. Let's look a little closer at what actually happens to the electricity inside each one of these. Alright, so in stage 1, the rectifier, the 3-phase AC voltage enters through a bridge of 6 diodes. Think of these diodes kind of like one-way water valves for electricity. They literally only allow the current to pass in a single direction. So our incoming bidirectional AC sine wave gets forced through these valves, and it turns into a positive-only but very bumpy and pulsating DC wave.
Next, that bumpy wave flows right into stage 2, the DC bus. Here, high-capacity components like capacitors and inductors go to work. They act like heavy-duty electrical shock absorbers, smoothing out all those ripples and storing up energy. And what comes out the other side? A perfectly stable, straight line of power. It's a smooth, DC voltage rail, typically sitting somewhere around 540 to 680 volts, depending on your line voltage, of course.
Finally, we reach the climactic third stage, the inverter. This is where the magic really happens. The inverter uses 6 high-speed electronic switches known as IGBTs, or insulated gate bipolar transistors. By switching these transistors on and off thousands of times every single second, a microcontroller actually reconstructs a brand new 3-phase AC output for the motor. But you might be wondering, how exactly does turning a switch on and off create a wave?
Section 4. Pulse Width Modulation explained.
Well, let's look at the clever electronic trickery the inverter stage uses to actually create that variable AC wave out of flat DC power. The crucial point here is that the drive doesn't actually output a pure, smooth sine wave. Not at all. Instead, using a technique called Pulse Width Modulation, or PWM, it outputs incredibly fast DC square pulses. By rapidly varying the width of these square pulses, the average voltage delivered to the motor winding perfectly mimics a smooth AC sine wave. It's pretty genius. If we compare these side by side, we can actually see how this dictates speed. If the drive wants to create a 30 Hz wave to run the motor slowly, it outputs wider pulses, which results in a lower effective voltage. But for a full-speed 60 Hz wave, the drive fires off much narrower, highly rapid pulses to deliver full effective voltage. The shape of the pulse directly dictates the speed of the motor. It is an incredibly elegant digital solution.
Oh, and there is a really vital built-in safety mechanism here as well. As the frequency decreases to slow the motor down, the output voltage must also decrease proportionally. So the VFD automatically maintains a constant volts-per-Hertz ratio. Why? Because this keeps the motor's magnetic field completely stable and stops the motor from dangerously overheating at those lower speeds.
Section 5. Why use a VFD?
Okay, so we've traced the electrical journey. Now let's zoom back out to the macro level and see why this complex internal circuit matters so much in the real industrial world. There are 3 massive practical benefits to upgrading to a VFD. Number 1 is soft starting. Number 2 is massive energy savings. And number 3 is precise process control. That means you get exact control over speed, acceleration, deceleration, and torque, which basically completely eliminates the need for complex, clunky mechanical gearboxes.
Let's look at that first benefit for a second, soft starting. If you start a motor direct online, you get this massive, violent inrush current spike. We're talking sometimes pulling 600% of the motor's rated current. It causes severe mechanical shock and electrical stress. But a VFD? It provides a smooth, gradual ramp from 0 to 100%. Absolutely no spikes and no shock to the system.
But here is a truly staggering number for you, 50%. Thanks to the affinity laws governing centrifugal pumps and fans, power consumption actually follows the cube of the speed. This means that reducing a motor's speed by just 20% can cut its energy consumption by nearly half. Just think back to those mechanical valves we talked about at the very beginning. Getting rid of them and using a VFD instead saves a truly massive amount of power.
Section 6. Typical wiring terminals.
So let's bring all this together and see how this theory translates into the physical reality of the unit. We know the internal theory, but how do we actually hook one up? Well, wiring a basic VFD is pretty straightforward once you understand the stages we just covered. You have power terminals, L1, L2, and L3 for the incoming grid line, and U, V, and W for the new variable AC output going straight to the motor. Then you have the control terminals. You've got digital inputs like DI1 to command it to run or stop, and analog inputs like AI1 where you'd wire a 0 to 10 volt potentiometer dial to actually set your desired speed reference.
Which leads us to one final, pretty provocative thought. If reducing a single motor speed by just 20% cuts its energy usage nearly in half, how much global power could we save by making every single industrial motor a VFD? It's a massive, massive opportunity for efficiency.